Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Hello everyone, and thanks so much for joining us for this Friday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Dave Percy, and I'll be hosting today's show. Up first, the flood watch is now flood warning for the Snow River, and that's in effect through the weekend here. Again, for the Snow River there, looking to heavily impact Ski-Lac Lake and the Kenai River, with the area of the Kenai River roughly from Cooper Landing on down to Ski-Lac Lake, and that'll be over the weekend. Could see some flooding of low-lying areas around the lake here coming up. Moving on to satellite imagery, big upper-level low right up in this area, slowly sliding southward, southwest flow out in advance of that, pulling a lot of moisture up into the interior and also eastward here. The bulk of the moisture still off the southeast coast, but rain occurring along the North Gulf Coast and northward into the interior, and then back to the southwest along the boundary here, back to another development down around the central Aleutians. And up to the north, areas of rain and snow occurring up here over the northwest interior, although breaking out a little bit there on the north side this afternoon, but generally cloudy, or clouds covering the north slope on out to the Arctic coast, and northerly winds keeping it cloudy there through the Bering Strait, pulling the clouds down from the Chukchi Sea, but some clearing back to the west there, and again breaking out downslope winds. They're coming off the Western Brooks Range, trying to clear it out. Also some breaks here over the Yukon Delta, as well as Kodiak Island, as this area of moisture pushes off to the northeast. Got a break right out here. This band, at least for now, staying up to the north and along the Alaska Peninsula. Lots of clouds out over the Bering Sea. And on the chart today, not too bad here over the southern southeast coast. A little bit of sunshine this afternoon. Weak ridging ahead of this system as it pushes rain onto the coast during the afternoon, up to Yakutat, rain across the North Gulf Coast, periods of or areas of into Prince William Sound and northward into the Susitna Valley, and then back to the southwest here across the Kuskokwim Valley into Bristol Bay. 1,003 millibar low there, western Bristol Bay. Areas of rain and fog. Not a lot of wind with this. A little breezier here up out of the north-northeast on the north side of the trough axis, with high pressure out over the western Bering Sea. Northeast winds 15 to maybe 30 miles an hour down across the central Aleutians with some shower activity, and low elevations, rain showers up here in the northwest, but any elevation at all into the Brooks Range falling as snow, and then kind of a mixed precipitation pattern up over the north slope on out to the extreme eastern Arctic coast. Taking a look at the forecast for tonight, we'll see this system continues to push up. Rain will increase this evening over the Panhandle Thursday evening, with wind not all that big of a factor, not that much of a factor, though rain all the way down to the Queen Charlottes, up along the North Gulf Coast, pushing northward past Skagway into northwest Canada. And chance of rain across the Copper River Basin. Of course, heaviest amounts will be along the North Gulf Coast into western Prince William Sound and the south side of the Kenai Peninsula, but periods of rain across all of south central Alaska into the Kuskokwim Valley, where it becomes more showery west of there and then cuts off about the Kuskokwim Mountains west. Dry conditions with less clouds, maybe some breaks out along the coast. Kind of breezy, cool, breezy north winds out there, 10 to 20 miles an hour, maybe some gusts of 25. Possibly higher, especially like Cape Newenham or Tooksuk Bay. Could see gusts maybe 28, 29, 30 miles an hour. Breaks along the Brooks Range there in a narrow band, and from the Brooks Range northward, some light snow or snow showers occurring tonight from the western Arctic coast back to the east there toward Kaktovik, but amounts not expected to be much at all. Out over the Aleutians, just kind of breezy, cloudy, maybe some patchy fog to about Adak and Atka. Nikolsky to Unalaska, looks like periods of rain with that boundary right in the area in that weak low to the south. Narrow band of rain or showers extending northeastward here into this other low, about 1,001 millibars there just west of Cook Inlet, and showers up into the Tanana Valley, back toward the Nulato Hills. Moving on to for tomorrow, we'll see low pressure still here over western Cook Inlet, and this one now scooting eastward just south of the Alaska Peninsula. That's going to keep periods of rain going, light rain going, but winds will be light here along the Alaska Peninsula. Rain, Kodiak Island, specifically the Shelikof Strait side into northeast Bristol Bay. Looks like a wet day here for south central Alaska, definitely the North Gulf Coast. More showery though inland behind that front. Band of rain pushing across the eastern Tanana Valley. Showers back to the southwest. Upper level trough right through here, signified by the dark line there. So that'll be another enhanced area of showers. They'll be slowly moving eastward. And periods of light snow up across the central north slope from the Berks Range on out to the eastern Arctic coast. Look for clearing back to the west there, especially Point Hope to Kivalina, maybe Kotzebue dry into Shishmaref. Otherwise, this front dragging across the southeast coast. Periods of rain throughout the entire day, turning more showery up there to the north from about Elfin Cove on into Haines. Rain changing to showers eventually later in the afternoon for Juneau, but this southwest flow keeping it wet right along the North Gulf Coast. There'll be kind of an occasional rain pattern there with turning showery over the inland areas. Cook Inlet, Kenai Peninsula, periods of rain trailing back again to Kodiak Island. And then for Sunday or for Saturday, first day of the weekend, looking like this, weak low over into the Yukon there, and showers exiting the panhandles. That means partly sunny skies midday into the afternoon. Next batch of moisture right off the coast there. Again, that'll be sliding on in Saturday evening and Saturday night. Front extending back across Prince William Sound. So more rain from about Cordova in across south central Alaska and the Kenai Peninsula. Look for a little bit of a break though for Yakutat. Definitely dry, maybe partly sunny here in the Copper River Basin on up into the Tanana Valley and back to the west. A trough through the interior here. Chance of showers pretty good, mostly from the White Mountains and southern upper Yukon Valley, westward out to the Seward Peninsula, and then breaking out again along the coast, that offshore flow out of the east-northeast and north of the mountains there. North slope areas of rain and snow showers throughout the day. Not quite cold enough to keep it all snow all the way down to sea level, but any elevation at all, it will be snow in the Brooks Range. And that'll extend all the way over to Mackenzie Delta. And this trough here is spreading another batch of rain southwestward. That'll turn southward, so that'll be probably dropping into the Pribilof Saturday night. And northwest flow here with a couple of weak troughs promises some shower activity here for the southern Bering Sea, slipping on down into the central Aleutian areas. Otherwise, out to the west, high pressure holding, so light winds and fair skies. Could see some sunshine shimmying at too, right up into the Russian Far East there. And again, with a low over south central Alaska, of course, periods of rain and wet conditions, light winds, but kind of breezy here. Again, northeast winds, possibly gusting up to 30 miles an hour along the northwest coast. Could possibly see gusts 35, maybe 40 miles an hour through the Bering Strait and then diminishing down towards St. Lawrence Island, turning northwest 15 to 20, 25 there across the Pribilofs, on down to the Alaska Peninsula. Got this trough keeping it rain, eventually changing to showers Kodiak Island, but be more convective in nature down through here, while looking at just flat out rain along the frontal boundary there up along the North Gulf Coast. Temperatures temperatures lows for tonight. Again, upper 20s, mid to upper 20s here for the Brooks Range. Lower 30s though out along the Arctic coast, mid to upper 30s, Kotzebue Sound across the Seward Peninsula, and it looks like upper 40s for Bristol Bay and the Alaska Peninsula area, with that gradually dropping into the lower 40s farther on out to the west. Otherwise, for the Panhandle, 45 to 50, about covers it pretty good there for the overnight lows, and mid to upper 40s for southern Alaska, on up into the Susitna Valley, mid 40s, Copper River Basin, upper 30s to lower 40s. Tanana Valley, 38 to maybe 41 for the lows. And for tomorrow's highs, rising into the possibly mid-50s here. Could be maybe even upper 50s toward the eastern interior there, toward Token Northway. Eagle 55, Brooks Range though 35 to 40, but mid to upper 30s out along the Arctic coast, and mid to upper 40s south of the western Brooks Range there across Kotzebue Sound and the Seward Peninsula, with lower to mid 50s in the forecast for tomorrow across the Bristol Bay area, falling back to about 50 around Unalaska with that temperature pattern on out to Shemya. High 46 for St. Paul. And for the lows tomorrow night, again, not much change for Saturday morning. Upper 40s to lower 50s for the Panhandle, and mostly in the 40s here across southern Alaska. Tanana Valley, mid to upper 30s. Really not too bad for this point in September, with near 40 all the way out to the southwest coast. Again, mid 20s, Brooks Range there, mid to upper 20s. North Slope, lower 30s, lower to mid 30s out over the Arctic coast. And then for Saturday afternoon, temperatures shaping up not too bad, 55 to 60, or maybe even the lower 60s here over the Tanana Valley and the greater Fairbanks area, eastward over to the 40-mile country, to the border. And that same pattern also down here over the southeast coast. Upper 50s to lower 60s there, central and southern southeast coast, especially Prince of Wales Island, Ketchikan, Annette. Looking pretty good Saturday afternoon, temperature-wise. Mid to upper 50s to Sitna Valley, south central Alaska, to Kodiak, lower 50s over the Alaska Peninsula area. And then sliding down into the upper 40s for the Pribilofs, to mid 40s up around St. Lawrence Island. So really not all that bad for temperature-wise as we get into late September up there. And then mid to upper 30s for the Arctic coast and the North Slope areas.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Moving on to aviation, a lot of marginal VFR here to the central Aleutians, southern Bering Sea, just north of the Pribilofs, right on into the southwest interior, picking up IFR along the western Alaska Range, and from the eastern Aleutians along the south side of the Alaska Peninsula up into Kodiak Island, and spreading up into the North Gulf Coast and eastward to right along the Panhandle, IFR, Northern Lynn Canal, and Glacier Bay. Otherwise, not too bad inland. IFR, Brooks Range, eastern Arctic coastal areas for tomorrow. That recedes a little bit there, mostly confined to the eastern Beaufort Sea coastline. Marginal VFR now just to the central coast, and then good VFR back to the west and to the south. All of the northern Bering Sea forecast to be VFR tomorrow. IFR persisting here along the western Alaska Range, also from Kodiak along and south of the Alaska Peninsula to Unalaska Island, and IFR across the Gulf of Alaska to right along the coastline here up to Yakutat and then back into Prince William Sound. Moving on to Sunday morning. IFR moving in to the southern southeast coast. Marginal VFR up to the north, Gulf of Alaska. IFR here holding over Prince William Sound and the south side of the Kenai Peninsula to Kodiak Island. Less IFR over the western Alaska Range. Marginal conditions northward. IFR hanging on to the eastern Arctic coast, and VFR back out here to the west, Alaska Peninsula. Really good out here over the Bering Sea and the Aleutians. VFR there everywhere, right up into the Chukchi Sea. And then for Saturday afternoon, just an area of IFR in the eastern, extreme eastern Arctic coast up there. Good VFR back to the west, southward. White Mountains to the eastern interior, marginal VFR. Definitely marginal here south of the mountains. IFR along the Alaska Range. Prince William Sound, marginal VFR Kuskokwim Valley, and some marginal VFR showing up out west, north of the western Aleutians. IFR holding here over the southern southeast coast. Passes Anatuvik, marginal, same forecast for Adigan, marginal VFR. IFR becoming marginal, Lake Clark Merrill, rainy. IFR much of the day, windy marginal. Isabel, same forecast, kind of a marginal flying day from Mentasta, as well as Tanita. Portage though, IFR, and Chilkoot and White, IFR maybe improving to marginal later in the day. Freezing levels 2,000 feet south of the Brooks Range. At the surface on out to the Arctic coast, a little bit of a warm wedge up here over the Chukchi Sea, Kotzebue Sound area, and then much milder, 8,000 feet southern Alaska up to 10 to 12,000 feet down over the southern southeast coast. Out to the west, 2,000 feet southward here to about the central Bering Sea. And as far as icing goes, with the moisture pushing eastward here, could be some considerable moderate rime icing along the North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound area mostly, with just some lighter stuff on over toward Yakutat. Areas of light to isolated moderate rime icing here, Shelikof Strait northward and then back to the west out toward the Seward Peninsula, and could see some considerable moderate rime icing possibly for the Alaska Peninsula. And another batch here heading up to the northeast. This probably won't move in to the southeast coast until, well, definitely will move in there during the evening on Friday. And then for the jet stream here, ridging northeast Pacific and that southwest flow, that'll be carrying that moisture I just spoke of right on in Friday evening. Otherwise, an upper level trough here, western part of the state, southwest flow and wet conditions, colder northerly flow back out to the west. And at 9,000 feet, not too bad here over the Panhandle, south to southwest at 10 to 15 knots, kicking up to 25 knots here over in Canada mostly, otherwise 10 to 20. And then east-northeasterlies, 25 to 35 knots here over the northern interior, south of the Brooks Range. Those turn northerly at about 25 and extend down to the eastern Aleutians, light and variable into the trough axis here, and then winds diminishing on out to the west. 3,000 foot wind flow looking like this. Again, 25 to 35 knot winds east-northeast across the northern interior, north to south flow, 20 to 35 knots here right across the eastern Aleutians, south to north 30 knots there east of Kodiak Island, lighter over the southeast interior. And the Panhandle, not too bad, ridging there, so light southwest winds coming over the top, just 5 to 10 knots. Turbulence-wise, moderate chop here, western Brooks Range down to St. Lawrence Island through the strait, and also along the central Aleutians to Unalaska Island and east of Kodiak Island with light to isolated moderate chop along the southwest coast.
Saturn and the Moon. Hey there, stargazers. I'm James Albury, director of the Kika Silva Pla Planetarium in Gainesville, Florida.
And I'm Dehne Regas, astronomer for the Cincinnati Observatory. We're here to help you find your way around the sky. Hey James, have you ever seen a really bright star next to the moon?
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite things in the entire sky to see because that star often turns out to be a planet. And when that happens,
oh no,
I feel a conjunction coming on.
Now viewers, please do not be alarmed. No need to write in and wonder if James is okay. He's not. This is just what he does whenever things come together in the sky.
A conjunction is like a stellar party.
And James is compelled to join in and show off his sweet moves.
Anyway, what conjunction are we talking about today?
The moon, you better calm down for this,
okay,
is going to be right next to the ring planet Saturn.
Oh, when?
Let's show you. Okay, we have our sky set to Sunday, September 24th at 9 p.m. facing southwest. There you will find our two major players in the evening sky, the moon and Saturn.
The moon is really easy to find after dark next week since it will be in its waxing phases. Starting Sunday night, you can see it right after dark as a waxing crescent low in the southwest. But where's Saturn?
That's a little tougher challenge. Saturn is the farthest planet you can see with the naked eye, so it doesn't stand out like Jupiter or Venus. But this month, it is still brighter than any other star in this part of the sky. There is Saturn about 20 degrees above the southwestern horizon.
Saturn will just look like an ordinary yellow star, but with one major difference. Planets don't twinkle quite as much as stars do. So check it out and see if it gives off a steady light.
You can compare Saturn to the bright red star Antares. This is the brightest star in the constellation Scorpius the Scorpion, and Antares definitely twinkles.
Other than the occasional near-Earth asteroid, the moon is our closest neighbor in space. Yikes, watch out, Dehne.
Whoa, that was close.
Phew.
Those near-Earth asteroids don't mess around. Anyway, the moon is about 240,000 miles from Earth and looks so big and bright because it reflects the light of the sun.
Of course, the moon doesn't always look like a crescent. As the days go on, the moon travels around the Earth and it changes our perspective on the parts lit by the sun. So, day by day, night by night, the light grows from right to left. This is called waxing.
Once we get to a full moon and we can't wax anymore, the moon will get darker on the right side, and day by day, night by night, the darkness will spread from right to left. This is called waning.
The whole process takes about 29.5 days, and then it repeats itself all over again.
When the moon orbits the Earth and changes its phases, it also shifts its position in the sky. So if we move forward one night at a time, here is where the moon is on September 25th. And, are you ready, James? September 26th.
Wowzers! The moon is going to be really close to Saturn that night. They will be less than 3 degrees apart, and that most definitely counts as a conjunction.
If you have a pair of binoculars, aim them at the conjunction and see if you can fit both the moon and Saturn in the same view. They will still be a little too far away to catch them both at one time through a telescope, but you can point at them individually and see the craters of the moon in amazing detail.
Then shift over to observe the most amazing planet you'll ever see. Spectacular Saturn with the breathtakingly beautiful rings.
The conjunction and dance party won't last long. By the evening of September 27th, the moon will have continued on its way around the Earth and moved away from Saturn.
But don't worry, the moon will be back around for one more pass of Saturn on October 23rd and 24th. It's an amazing universe we live in, so keep looking up.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Looking at the sea surface temperature, cooling off up here with the Chukchi Sea and through the Bering Strait. Got some blues now down around St. Lawrence Island, and cooling off a little bit all the way down there. Kind of a lighter green shade here to the Pribilofs, but still not too bad here along the off the southeast coast. And moving on to the sea ice analysis, about the same as what we've seen, but there is new ice forming up here to the north and or along the ice edge, well to the north. And about in the next 7 to 10 day period, expecting kind of a colder air to come in there. And so this whole area may start expanding a little bit faster than it has the last few days, but that's not for another week or so. And going on to the marine forecast here, west-southwest 15 on the south coast to southwest 10 on the north coast, and up there toward Yakutat, southeast 20, and 20 knots out of the south for northern Lynn Canal. Otherwise, 10 to 15 knot winds from the south-southeast for the central and inside waters. And then for Clarence Strait on Saturday, southeast 15 knots right up through the central inside water areas and northern Cook Inlet, or northern Lynn Canal south at 15. West winds 15 to 20, strongest on the south coast there with seas up to 8 feet, so small craft advisories there for the extreme south coast. Otherwise, southeast 15 to 20, as you can see, increasing as you head northwest. And then for the south central Alaska, Cook Inlet, northeast 15 tomorrow, but south 25, south of the Forelands, down across Kachemak Bay, southwest 25 knot winds with 10 to 11 foot seas here for the Barren Islands western Gulf Coast, east 25. There for Prince William Sound with seas at about 4 feet. In the North Gulf Coast, south at 20, but 11-foot seas keeps the small craft advisories in there as well. And that holds through Saturday. We've got southeast 25, a little stronger in the winds, a little less on the sea heights there, down to 9 feet and 8 feet with 25 knot southeasterlies here for the western North Gulf Coast, right down across the Barren Islands, Prince William Sound, east at 20. And for the Bristol Bay zone, light winds tomorrow there, but north 25 turns southwest 25, some Sitkinak to from Cape Saratchev to Castle Cape, and then south there on up towards Sitkinak with 30 knot winds around Kodiak Island, but those will be coming down on Saturday. East 10 for Shelikof Strait, the east side of Kodiak, south at 20 knots. Back into the small craft advisory winds here, Sitkinak all the way to Cape Saratchev, 25 knots west-northwest, seas 8 feet, west 20 knots, 7-foot seas there for the north side of the Alaska Peninsula, right on up into Bristol Bay. And for the Fox Islands, northerly winds 25 to 30 knots with 10 to 13-foot seas in the forecast for Friday. With the Central Aleutians, about the same thing going on, 10 to 11-foot seas. Winds diminishing out to the west under high pressure, just 15 knots west of Kiska. And for Saturday, those stay light, north to northwest, 10 knots, high pressure out there. 15 knots, pretty good for the Central Aleutians from the north-northwest. And the seas laying down 5 to 6 feet. 20 to 25 knot winds still blowing across Unalaska Island with 7-foot seas. And for the southwest coast, small craft advisories all the way up to St. Lawrence Island, the St. Matthew Island zone, as well as the Pribilofs, with seas running 6 to 8 feet. And then for Saturday, northwest here, 20 knots, Pribilof south of Nunivak Island, otherwise northerlies 20 to 25 knots from St. Matthew Island to St. Lawrence Island. And for the Arctic coast, we've got northeast 20 for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast in the forecast for tomorrow, with 5-foot seas there, becoming east on the central coast, with seas coming down about 4 feet. Small craft advisories, though, here for the west side, all the way down to Cape Thompson, Cape Thompson to the Bering Strait, northeast of 15 with 6-foot seas. And for Saturday, northeast 20, pick it up a little bit there with the small craft advisories from Cape Thompson up along the west side, falling back to 15 out of the east there, and then 15 to 20 knot easterlies or east-northeasterlies for the remainder of the coastline. For tonight again, rain, southern Alaska here with a low in front, pushing in across the panhandle. Tonight, periods of rain all the way down to Dixon Entrance, Queen Charlotte's, and up across areas of the Copper River Basin. Showers north of the mountains through here. Areas of light snow north slope in the Arctic coast, and dry and breezy out over the Bering Sea with rain all the way to the eastern Aleutians. And for Friday, rain dragging across, or ending in the north, but continuing over the southern panhandle, North Gulf Coast, Alaska Peninsula. And Saturday shaping up like this, sunshine for the panhandle, drier conditions, still wet for south central Alaska, and showers along this trough just north of the Tanana Valley.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.